who thinks reading and writing is daunting? I know I do. Especially coming in as a first year, I didn't know what to expect. But let's face it, you're not the only one dreading to write that paper or start that reading, which is why I went around asking people some questions with regards to reading and writing. Here's what they had to say.
If I'm going through difficult writing, I'll read it through once and kind of try and get context clues from the entire passage, and then I'll read it through again, kind of block by block, and try and figure out what the author is saying to their particular audience in that passage.
I typically like to read it thoroughly first, just to skim through the idea. Then the second time around, I like to really just stay focused on the words that's being presented to me so I can understand exactly what the reader or what the writer wants me to understand. Then I reread it again to pick out the main points and details as to what the writer wants me to understand so I can precisely see their points, their details, and any extra stuff they want me to pretty much evaluate.
We were taught to annotate through a highlighting system, and I think I still use that highlighting system to this day. I normally read passages and then kind of highlight words I don't know or highlight specific things that I feel are important to the text. I kind of try to dissect every piece and then figure out what it means individually to then put it together in a whole and analyze the text that way.
I'll usually just take it section by section. I'll highlight things I don't understand, look it up on Google, see if I don't understand any words, but just main thing is grab the main idea from the article and then just analyze from there.
I'll comprehend some part of the passage. I'll look up a specific word on a dictionary app or thesaurus, so I can try to see if there's other words that could be used to help aid in my understanding. That's about it.
For myself, if it's a pretty difficult passage, sometimes I'll reread it a few times just to see maybe try different inflections in my head. Is this what they're trying to say, or are they trying to say it this way?
If it's difficult reading, normally I'll read over it multiple times. For the parts that I really don't understand, I'll go through it slowly and see, just reread it a bunch, and hopefully something normally stands out. Another thing is if it's a scientific paper or something like that, looking at the abstract helps a lot because it gives you the main idea and it gives you a baseline to kind of go off of and look at when trying to understand it. But the main thing is just reading over a bunch and carefully and just looking for small details I might have missed.
I typically ask a friend to peer edit my essay or something along those lines so someone else sees it and there's more edits that can be made than just mine after I've tirelessly worked on a paper. Or I go to the Student Academic Success Center where they can give me tutoring on essay writing.
It's mainly based on what the prompt asks me as for writing prompt. So usually if it's a research paper, I go through YouTube videos just to gather information because I'm a visual learner, and I rather have information told to me in person through video so I could also get the tone of what's being told so I could at least form an opinion. And if it's something where it's a creative writing prompt, I'd ask classmates first as to what they're writing, then bounce off of those ideas to form my own ideas and just get the ball rolling to form my own paper.
When I need help, I just go to my professors. I kind of have a hard time asking my peers for help because a lot of the times they're confused in the same ways that I'm confused. So I just go to my professors, or I go to my TA's office hours. Sometimes I go to the writing and tutoring center. That's pretty much about it. It's pretty solid.
Writing, I'll usually go to the writing center. They usually have good people to help you out. I'll also go to the TA or professor because they usually have very specific goals they have in mind when you write the paper. So just going to their office hours, seeing what they want, reading the books, the materials will usually give you a pretty good idea of how you should write.
So for my writing, I always go to the Student Academic Success Center, the writing specialist there. They're always super friendly, pretty chill, and I always come out of there with a better paper. guarantee, at least for me. Like anyone, it's gonna be a guarantee, I'd say. That, and then also the professor's office hours. Most professors, at least in my experience, are willing to like sit down with you, look at your paper, look at the draft you have, and then they'll say like, oh, you know what, here, why don't you instead like say this, or like, you don't need this here, you don't need to say that. And then every time I've done that, I've always get like a lot of ink on the paper from them. But again, I always walk out of there with like, this is going to be a better paper. Again, it's practically a guarantee.
Yeah, I'd say like the same thing applies to me, but also if you have friends that are, you know, in the English major, they have a lot more writing experience. I mean, even if they don't have as much, sometimes it's nice to have like a fresh pair of eyes on your paper to like at least tell you like, hey, this doesn't sound right, this doesn't like make sense to me, because then you know like your audience is receiving the paper in the way that you want them to. So I think that's a good option too, if like you need help editing, stuff like that.
I need help with writing, I'll go to the teacher's website and look at either a syllabus, or they'll usually post documents saying what they expect for writing and the guidelines. So normally that helps, and I'll just look at the course material to get a good grasp of what I need to know.
Coming into my first year at UC Davis, that each professor has a type of style of writing that they would like you to write in. So depending on the class, it's not going to be the same type of essay that you write. You have to kind of adapt to what the professor wants.
It's mainly just actually digging into the writing and seeing what the author is actually trying to get through to me, because I know it's not the same for everyone, but for me during high school, I know usually with our instructors, we were told to pretty much form ideas that kind of was backed up from what the writer wrote, but usually most of the time I got off the list with just writing a simple idea and backing it up with just a sentence or two from what the writer is saying in his or her paragraph. Compared to in college, where you actually have to make sense, it has to actually go hand in hand, because if it doesn't, people will go off on you and they will challenge your idea.
That each class required a different level of reading. There are some classes that are heavy reading-based classes, and you need to be prepared to be reading 60 pages in like a few days. And then there are other classes that don't necessarily require that strenuous of an amount of effort to read. So I wish I knew that each class kind of has its own level of reading, and then you need to be prepared to do either one.
Before was that there were many different styles of writing. Before I came into college here, I thought there was only one way, the correct way, so 5 paragraphs, intro, 3 ideas and a conclusion. But coming here, I learned from a lot of English teachers that there are multiple ways where you could get your point across, but the main thing is to have evidence and back up your thesis, and I think that helped a lot.
I wish I would have known like how much time outside of the class I would be spending actually doing the reading. The writing was about the same amount, but definitely the reading, because I remember in high school they'd say like, oh, we're going to read this article, we'll discuss it tomorrow. And then from there it was like, oh, and in these last 20 minutes of class, let's go ahead and read the article. So, you know, like it was pretty easy in high school, but here in college, they're just like, we're gonna read these 3 articles and discuss them, you know, this next class time we see you. And they're like, oh, okay, where are the articles? And they're like, oh, it's on SmartSite, we're gonna upload it at the end of class. Like, in the meantime, this is what we're doing for the rest of class. So it was like, oh, we're not reading in class? It's very different for me.
For me, I'd say I wish I knew about like the different types of reading that you have to do, because sometimes you need to read a lot of like your information really in depth, and then other times it's just necessary that you like skim through it, find what you need, and kind of move on. So I think that would have been helpful to know that like in college you don't necessarily have to read every single thing in extreme detail. And then in terms of writing, I guess I would just say like knowing that I would have to put a lot more time into it, and I'm expected to do a lot more in terms of like writing it the first time and then going back and editing it and maybe editing it again. so that it was good for the, the final grade.
First year students in regards to reading and writing would be to get an early start. Once you get that assignment, start doing your readings, try and get an idea about what you're going to write about on that, and then you can mold that throughout your whole entire process instead of procrastinating at the last second and trying to whip out something.
Eliminate all distractions. Don't get near your computer, turn off your phone, actually focus on the reading. If it's something online, such as a PDF, make sure to download it and get offline. And if you have to make writings for it just to save ideas, write on a piece of paper. And if it's pertaining to writing, I'd say ask your classmates first as to what they really want to say or what ideas they have in their mind. And if you need more help, just go to your instructor and ask them what you need to work on, because they're there for a reason. They're there to help you. They're not just there to pretty much tell you this and this and this. They're there to help you out and guide you into the path they want you to go.
I would advise students to go to office hours a lot and to go to Student Academic Success Center and really take advantage of the resources that the school provides for you, because they're there and you can't really improve if you're just working on something by yourself.
To get the reading done earlier so you understand what's going on in class, you could possibly form groups with other students so you can get their ideas on the topic. And when you start writing on these ideas, make sure you don't plagiarize. Even though sometimes you think you're doing everything fine, you want to double check, make sure that someone else's ideas aren't your own, and you want to cite them.
For number one, don't be afraid to get some help. If you're struggling in a class, don't be afraid to go to the TAs for office hours or see a teacher and talk to them about it and get help. Another thing is it's a lot easier to do your reading in small increments over time than to just cram it the night before. So I'd say don't procrastinate if you can, and especially with all the different classes you have, a lot of reading will catch up on you for different classes if you don't keep on top of it. So even if you don't read super early, just do a little bit at a time and you'll get it done.
From writing in high school to writing in college, so they come in knowing how to write 5-paragraph essays, so it can be a struggle breaking from that mold and developing their own voice academically. I think it's hard to start writing better. It's a process, so knowing that it takes time, and reading for pleasure, reading books for fun, and also just reading academic texts can help your brain notice patterns in writing that then you can apply to your own. And also to treat writing as a process, so don't expect that it's going to happen overnight, but to work on one piece of writing in stages. Well, the good thing is that you don't really need to prepare. Obviously, we have protocol in terms of what to bring. It always helps to bring a prompt as well as your writing and sometimes your readings. But you can come at any stage, just don't wait till the last minute, and you don't even have to have any clear questions. You can just say, I'm stuck and I don't know what to do, and we can work through it.
use your resources.